If you want customers coming in while you sleep, this video is for you. Just connect Claude to Apollo, Supabase, Postmark, and Stripe, and watch. It finds the right people, writes the emails, and follows up the leads for you. It still amazes me. Someone I've never even spoken to writes back, books a call, and I end up sending them a proposal. That's Claude doing the work for you. I set this whole thing up in an afternoon. I'll show you every screen, and I'll share the exact Claude prompts and resources at the end for free. These are the tools you need. You can sign up for free for all of them. There's no team behind this, and I'm not cold calling anybody. And you don't need to be technical either. I'm going to run all 4 parts live so you can do it together with me. All 4 guides store their data in one place, Supabase, so each one picks up where the last left off. These 4 guides help you work out who to sell to, how to find them, what to say once you do, then the offer. The question is, does any of this actually work? Okay, so this is the dashboard that I asked Claude to pull from our database and Postmark. I've got a few campaigns running, and each one is targeted at a specific customer profile. All of this is live data from Postmark and our database. 140 emails sent across them. Delivered, basically all of them. Opened, a bit over half. These are the clicks, the people who actually went and looked. 2 bounced, which it drops on its own, so I never write to them again. None of that means much on its own. An open email isn't a sale, but it tells me the thing's working. The emails are getting through, and people are reading them. And then over here in the table, this is what came back. These rows at new are people it found and sorted for me last week, and I haven't touched them yet. These at in sequence, it's emailing them right now, one every couple of days, and I approved those emails once and haven't touched it since. And then this one answered, replied interested. The moment she did, the sequence stopped itself. No cold follow-up ever landed on a warm reply. Wrote back within a couple of hours, we went back and forth a bit, and once we'd agreed a time, I marked this one, booked myself. The machine didn't do that part. Here's the reply itself, sitting in my inbox, from someone I had never spoken to in my life. Most cold outreach doesn't flop because what you're selling is bad. It flops because you send it to everyone, and because nobody follows up on day 4, once it's gone quiet. Everything I'm running in this video is in that playbook, and it's free. Links in the description. This is the playbook. There are 4 guides in it, and inside each one is a brief you can paste into Claude and let it run. A brief tells Claude what to do, in what order, where to stop and check with you before it carries on, and what to write down when it's finished. The 4 briefs hand off to each other, and the only thing they share is that one place everything's tracked. The first brief needs no connectors at all. It just reads my website URL, and that's the only thing I fill in. It reads my homepage and my pricing page and pulls out the value proposition and researches my competitors. Then it drafts a profile of the customer I should be going after, the role, the company size, what they're trying to get done, and what's standing in their way. It marks which parts it read straight off the page and which parts it's guessing at, and it stops there and waits for me to confirm or correct it before it goes any further. Once I've confirmed it, it writes a positioning statement, 1 sentence, in plain language, 3 to 5 core messages, each one carrying a proof point pulled from a real feature on my site. And then it splits my market into 2 or 3 types of buyer, worth treating differently. This will drive the different campaigns we'll create, instead of blasting everyone the same words. That's 10 minutes of work, and whatever roles, company sizes, and types of buyer it settles on, those steer everything downstream. Apollo and Supabase take about 30 seconds each to set up. You just need to connect both using Claude MCP. Go to Customize, Connectors, New, Add Connectors, and find Supabase and Apollo. Gmail, Stripe, and Gamma connect the same way, a few seconds each. Claude will build the database in Supabase after we paste our prompt. Then there's Postmark. That's the tool that actually sends the cold emails. And there's one rule here I want you to copy exactly. Do not send cold email from your real domain. Buy a second cheap one close to yours. If your website is yourbrand.com, then buy a new domain called tryyourbrand.com or getyourbrand.com instead. So if anything ever gets flagged as spam, it's that domain that takes the hit, not the address your real customers reply to. Claude will send your cold emails on a schedule, but only after I compile, review, and approve each one, and only to people who haven't answered yet. As crazy as this is, Claude can start a conversation, but it cannot close the deal, and it shouldn't be able to. The automatic sequence is fine for reaching a lot of people at once, but after someone replies, I pull it out and write to them by hand. The single line about their company that no template can fake. I still do that myself every time. What it took away from me was not the talking. It was the list building and the chasing and the follow-up when I'd lost interest and they'd gone quiet. That was the part I always skipped. I used to open my Google Sheet on a Sunday night, look at it, and close my laptop. Not anymore. Using the ideal customer profile from the first brief, the job titles, the industries, the company size, and the location, this second brief tells it how many I want. It goes out to Apollo and searches, and what comes back is real people at real companies. This is the part I like. It searches first and checks everyone against what's already in our database. It only pulls the real email for the ones that aren't in our database, so we never pay twice for a lead we already have. Once they're in our database, it scores those new leads and stores them. And just like that, I've got a real list worth actually emailing. The third brief is the emails, and this is the one everyone gets wrong, so I'm going to slow right down. It writes a 4 email series all at once. An opener, then 3 that build on it, a bit of proof, an answer to the objection you always hear, and finally a straight ask. Each one under 120 words, and each one includes the person's name, their company, and which type of buyer they are. So a founder and a head of ops don't get the exact same email. Once I'm done with the drafts, it saves those 4 emails in Postmark and sets them to send on their own, once every other day, without me. Day 1, it sends the first email. Day 3, the second. Day 5, the third. Day 7, the last. And before every single send, it checks one thing. Has this person replied or unsubscribed? If either is true, they're pulled out and nothing goes. An unsubscribe is permanent. It never writes to that address again, and that's the one rule I don't let it break. That's the automatic lane, and it runs while I sleep. So did it work? This is it running this morning while I was asleep. It woke up at 9, skipped the 2 who'd already replied, and sent the day 3 email to the other 6. I wasn't even awake for it. That's the actual email that went out. 94 words. It opens with the thing that's true for that type of buyer. It doesn't mention me until the 3rd line, the last brief. Somebody said, yes, we talked, and then I paste in my raw notes from the call, my business in a sentence, and my price. It finds the lead in our database and writes 4 sections. The challenge in their own words, the solution mapped straight onto it, one price with what's included, and next steps with a deadline on them. I've told it not to invent anything I didn't actually say. Gamma turns that into a deck, 1 slide per section. And we can attach a Stripe payment link too, but it stops and makes me confirm the exact amount and the expiry before it will create it, because that's real money and we have to be careful with money. Give it a minute. There's the deck, the payment link, and a cover email sitting in my drafts, ready for me to send while the conversation's still fresh. Not bad for a first run. Here's what happens to that lead in our database. A small CRM. We asked Claude to update the record with the proposal and the date I sent it, and change the status to proposal sent. It's the same row we've been looking at this whole time. Ultimately, I'm the one who closes it out. A yes or a no. That dashboard tells me the emails are getting through and getting read. This tells me whether any of it turned into a conversation with a person. That's the only bit I really care about. 2 things I learned the hard way. Rough proposal sent while it's still fresh beats a polished one that shows up days later every time. So what's next? Run that first brief again for a second customer profile, because it'll build a new campaign from start to finish. But that's not all. Once a brief runs the way you like it, you tell Claude to turn it into a skill. After that, you run it by name and you never paste it again. But only do this after you're actually happy with it. So what you save is something you trust. So that's everything. This doesn't turn you into some slick salesperson. It just takes the grind off your plate, the chasing, and the follow-up you always mean to send and never do. The only thing left for you is the part that was always yours, sitting down and talking to the people who put their hand up. This playbook is free. The 4 briefs exactly as I ran them, the setup, the scoring, and the follow-up rules. Comment pipeline, and I'll send it straight to you, or go to 5agents.io/playbooks/sales pipeline. No card, no catch. Why free? Because I'd rather you watched one of these actually work before you decide whether it's for you. If it's useful, some of you will want us to build the rest of it, and that's how it pays for itself. If it's not, keep it anyway. And if it books you a single meeting you didn't have to chase, then it did its job. Use it this week and tell me how it goes. If this helped, subscribe. I build these in public, and I show you the real screen every time. See you in the next one.